My name is Gail Hirsch. I'm an occupational therapist and on faculty in the School of Occupational Therapy at Texas Women's University here in Houston. Today I'll be talking to you about aging with disability, home modifications, durable medical equipment, and driving options. This project was funded by HRSA of the Department of Health and Human Services. And the grant was initially funded in 2007 and has been renewed. And I've been on the project ever since it was initiated. These are the learning objectives. Each objective itself could probably be a one-day workshop on its own. So the information I'm giving you today is an overview with some resources to help you if you are having clients with these issues, that you can at least know the resources that are out there. What does home mean to you? And I would like for you to just pause now, jot down some words about what home means to you. Many meanings are given to home, and you have probably jotted these same ones down. A place of privacy, of safety, where the client is in control and has autonomy. It's really a central point from which you leave and to which you return. A place to foster and reflect a sense of self, a place to support your closest relationships, and, especially meaningful to older adults, a repository of memories and one's life story. One particular concept that's come out of the aging or gerontology literature is the concept of aging in place. It has become even more popular with the now baby boomer generation. Many definitions are given to aging in place, but it really initially meant, or the traditional definition, was growing older without having to move in or go someplace else. And that way, living in the same place that you have been living in, but with the necessary support services in response to any changing needs. A particular name given to this has been called the NORC, a naturally occurring retirement community. But now, in the last few years, aging in place also means moving from one's home to a residential community or setting in order to secure those necessary support services in response to changing needs. And so as a result, you have what they call continuing care retirement communities that have the various levels of care that is needed, from independence to nursing home care. One way to age in place is to make home modifications, where changes and additions are made to a home environment to facilitate functional performance of what we call activities of daily living. And these changes may be minor. It may be only a raised toilet seat, or it could be something major, like remodeling a doorway, or adding grab bars in the bathtub and shower area, or leveling the floor for a walk-in shower, or in fact, completely remodeling a kitchen or bathroom. So these modifications can be temporary or permanent, depending on the current and future needs of the client. I'd like for you to jot down your answers to a true and false quiz. First question. First of all, these are myths and realities about the home environment. About 20% of homes and apartments of older persons have grab bars in the bathroom. The answer to that is false. It's only 6%. Very few homes and apartments have those grab bars. Thresholds and doorways or between rooms in a house should be no higher than 1 inch. That's false. It should only be a ½ inch. Burns are the most common accidental injuries in the home. No, you probably know the answer to that. Falls. And the best colors for making stairs are in the blue-green range. No, that's probably the worst. You'd want to do that in red and yellow so that persons with low vision or balance problems could see those yellow and red combination. So the one way in which one of the very first things that you want to do when you're doing home modification is do a home assessment to really find out what is the functional performance, or what we as OTs like to say, the occupational performance of the client, and meaning their skills, the features of the environment, and the demands of the activity that they are engaging in. And we need to take into consideration satisfaction, safety, efficiency, and adequacy. Another purpose is to identify problem areas and intervene in many ways through education, resources, recommendations, actual interventions for home modifications. We also look for energy. How much energy does it take in order for a person to perform a task? And so while you're assessing, you want to look for endurance. What is the amount of energy? Does it take too much time, or is it difficult for them to perform a task? And so you're looking at other options and alternatives. There are many types of assessments, from very simple checklists to these more standardized or investigator-created ones. The Home FAST, the Home Safety Walk Assessment, the Consumer's Guide to Home Adaptation, which is done by ARP, the American Association of Retired Persons, and those that are created by the therapist. And they really don't have any standardization, it's mostly a checklist. And there are some other general and standardized type. Both the CASPER and the Enabler are computer type tests that you can access through their website and use those as assessments. The one I'm particularly going to talk to you today is the SAFER, the Safety Assessment of Function and the Environment for Rehabilitation. This is the one that I have used and really feel it's quite a good one because it's comprehensive. It's a consistent measure of the client's ability to carry out all kinds of functional activities in his or her home. The tool was designed by occupational therapists, a group in Canada, and it identifies and describes safety concerns of an individual in his or her home, collects information that can then be used to plan intervention and recommendations to improve safety. The SAFER tool contains what they call 14 domains and 97 items, which you are definitely not going to go through today. But you can access this again through the website and find that if you need to. The domains, though, include everything in the house: living room situation, mobility, kitchen, fire hazards, eating, household tasks, dressing, grooming, bathroom, medication, communication, wandering, memory aids, and general. These items incorporate the interaction of people and environments through an interview, observation, and what we call task or activity analysis. So you're talking about personal activities of daily living or basic ADLs and instrumental ADLs. And you know that there are many assessments out there, but this SAFER is a pretty good one. What I would like to do to illustrate the SAFER is to present a case study. This is a real person and part of the CARES stroke project in which I was the occupational therapist. This stroke survivor, a retired male living with his spouse and 6-year-old granddaughter, Caucasian, electrical contractor and inspector. He experienced what we call a left CVA, and his left hand was dominant. meaning he had right hemiplegia with some expressive aphasia. They resided in a 2-story home with master bedroom and bathroom on the first floor. Thank goodness for that. He was functionally independent prior to the stroke and working part-time. I think what's important here is to always know what the previous level of function was for the client so that you can aim your goals toward that. It may not be completely possible, but that is what is probably going to be most meaningful to the client. So the SAFER results showed that in the living situation, the home was uncluttered and clean, and but access was limited, in that he really couldn't go upstairs. Mobility, he needed maximum assist for transfers, but he was able to manipulate the wheelchair independently. In household tasks, he wanted to resume some food preparation, and especially his financial management tasks. His dressing required moderate assist. The bathroom was a major area of concern. Here's where he needed max assist of 2 for shower transfer. There were no grab bars, but he used a portable commode for toileting. His communication had slurred speech, and he wasn't reading as much as he would have liked to. His leisure activities were limited, but the non-problem areas were kitchen, fire hazards, eating, grooming, medication, wandering, and memory aids, mainly because the wife did the cooking, and he could still eat and groom one-handed and handle his medications. His SAFER score was 12. The average score for a SAFER is 7. So you can see he had some issues. So these were our recommendations. In the living situation, ramps were installed, both in the front entrance and from the back entrance into the garage, because there were steps. Mobility. By the time we saw him, he had gained some stability and strength. And when we finally ended our interventions with him, he was able to transfer with a mod assist of 1. For dressing, we suggested Velcro straps for shoes. And in the bathroom, where the major modifications were made, we had a bath bench put in the shower, a commode over the toilet with grab bars, and eventually they were going to install a higher and bigger commode. Communication was suggested reading the paper as much as he could tolerate, and to resume some of his leisure activities, especially attending church and visiting family. So knowing these recommendations, we found out a few months later that he was doing fairly well and able to manipulate in the home more independently than he could. The next section that we're going to discuss is durable medical equipment. This is a term that's used to describe any medical equipment used in the home to aid in a better quality of living. It is a benefit that is included in most insurances, and in some cases, Medicare benefits. It includes such things as walkers, wheelchairs, hospital beds, and home oxygen equipment. And here are some pictures to show you what it could cover. And there's wheelchairs and different types of walkers, commode chairs, toilet commode, hemi-canes, and so forth. Another is a battery-operated wheelchair and a Hoyer lift. So these are items that might be what are considered durable medical equipment and would be used in the home. Other equipment might be prosthetics, such as even cardiac pacemakers, orthotic items such as braces, and prosthesis. Some of the most frequently used environmental adaptations that would be considered durable medical equipment include in the mobility area, wheelchairs, scooters, and different types of canes and walkers. In the bathroom, It might be grab bars, shower bench and extension, raised toilet seat or toilet frame, and a 3-in-1 chair. Grooming, even an electric razor, or what they call a rolling blade hand razor, can be a type of modification that really makes a person more independent and more safe, especially for men shaving themselves. Here are some more pictures of equipment. This one was actually of a woman who had rheumatoid arthritis and then had a stroke. And this was a elevated type and depressed bathtub seat that the husband had put in so that when she wanted to enjoy warm water to relax her joints, she was able to get into the bathtub itself because this seat went in and submerged itself in the water. This same woman used a bedside commode and also that transfer device that you see there in front of the commode to help her get out of bed and then transfer onto the commode so that she could do it by herself. Payment coverage. Anyone who has Medicare Part B can get this kind of DME as long as the equipment is medically necessary. If you have Part B, original Medicare covers DME when your doctor or treating practitioner prescribes it for you to use in your home. So you do need to use or have a referral from your physician. Home usually means your own home or a long-term care facility. A hospital or nursing home providing Medicare covered care does not usually qualify as your home. You need a certificate of medical necessity, a form that is required by Medicare that your physician must complete to get Medicare coverage for certain medical equipment. And the other little expectation in order to obtain DMEs is that you have to get it from a supplier who is enrolled in the Medicare program, if Medicare is going to cover it. Here are some resources. Easy to find these manuals that would help you looking for this type of medical equipment. Now I'd like to move on to driving. Driving. Why is it so important in your life? Well, if you think about it, think about the first time you sat behind the wheel of the family car. What was that like? Think about the moment you received your driving license. And think about the time you owned your first car. So we know that driving connotes independence. It means independence, being in control. It implies self-reliance, and it certainly promotes self-image of oneself. It's definitely an instrumental activity of daily living that connects us with our neighborhood, community, city, state, and country. Loss of driving. There are many causes why people are not able to drive. It can be dementia, stroke, visual deficits, multiple sclerosis, traumatic brain injury, and any other medical condition that affects driving abilities. And because driving encompasses so many body systems and mechanisms, the assessment needs to be comprehensive. So typically the areas for assessment are the medical history, the driving history, the optic eye examination, cognitive perceptual assessment, physical assessment, and even behind the wheel evaluation. Some of the evaluation outcomes that can come from an assessment is if you were a previous, or if you're treating a client or seeing a client who was a previous driver, they may get clearance to continue driving independently. or equipment and training might be recommended. Or it's even possible that it may be that recommendation to retire for driving is made. They have to take the Department of Public Safety test, see the Medical Advisory Board, and make sure, but keep in mind that the department does not really seize driver's license, and that you can always return for reevaluation if his condition or her condition improves. If it's a new driver, additional therapy might be recommended, or equipment and training. They might need an accompaniment, someone to go with them to participate in the road exam, and to participate in the vehicle inspection to ensure proper fitting of the chair or the seat in the car or van. There are many assistive devices and modifications that can be made for someone who needs a bit of assistance in driving again. A van is an option where you have the wheelchair ramp and a cut open area, and you can see how the passenger side has been removed and the wheelchair has been able to slide right in next to the driver. There are simple steering devices. The one on the right is a sort of a large grip for someone perhaps who's had a stroke and his fingers are clenched. They could hold on to at least with that. Or palmar grasp for someone, let's say, who's had a spinal cord injury and can't have a good grip. That kind of splint or device could enable them to hold on to the wheel. And then there's the accelerator for a left foot. And being if the right foot was a hemiplegic from a stroke or even from another kind of injury, that accelerator could be put in. The thing to remember though, it takes a team to work on driver rehabilitation. So it's teamwork between the physician, the therapist, the vehicle modifier, and the licensing authority. These are all essential to successful outcomes. In closing, I'd like to make some final comments. Working with clients and families, there are some communication skills that I think are very important in any of these three areas that we've talked about in this session. I think we need to understand the family dynamics within the home situation. Who's in the home? Is spouse, adult children? Who's taking care of the person who has experienced some kind of injury or a chronic condition? It's most important that we collaborate with the family to reach mutually beneficial goals for all involved. Is it important that they shower, or is it important that they bathe? You know, those kinds of collaboration and goal setting need to be done, or else the person really will not use the equipment. We need to allow that family dyad to problem solve and then offer suggestions which are timely and meaningful to them, and problem solve with them. And as an OT, I feel that we not only provide the occupational performance but the functional performance tools to manage the client's care, but we also utilize supportive and facilitatory tools with the family. And that connection you make with them is very important. So, there are some online assessments that you can get to. There are definitely many websites in the area of home modification, durable medical equipment, and driving. There are many references in the way of catalogs. Much of that is now on the website and on the internet, and so can be obtained that way. I'd like to give credit to Dr. Sharon Oswald, who was the PI on the stroke research study that I was involved in, and also Chad Stromat, who owns and operates the driver rehab services here in Houston, and used some of his materials. And thanks to one of my students, Michelle, who helped with the PowerPoint itself. If you need to contact me about any of this information, here's my phone number and my email. Thank you so much.